So obviously I buy a lot of sneakers, and in doing that I have to spend a lot of time on the secondary market looking for the best prices when it comes to sneakers to bring over here on the channel. And over the past few years, I've picked up some tips and some tricks on how to get the best prices. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about the best places to go to get your pairs of sneakers for the best price, the pros and cons of some of these places. Some are a little bit riskier than others. There is actually a decent amount of stuff that you can implement into your buying process that helps you get the best price. Now, before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's video, I do want to hand it off to myself from yesterday, telling you about today's video sponsor. I want to talk to you guys about an issue that is very, very prevalent in the sneaker industry. It keeps popping up. We keep having to deal with it as sneakerheads, and that is fake sneakers. Well, today's sponsor and the legit checking legends over at the CheckCheck app are here to help. But Elliot, how does the CheckCheck app actually work? Well, let me tell you. In fact, let me show you. But what we're going to do is I'm going to take you through the app, and we are going to legit check these together so I could just show you how easy it is to use the CheckCheck app. So you got your pair of shoes that are in question. You're going to run them through the CheckCheck app. Well, what you want to do is obviously make sure you have the app downloaded on your phone. And what you're going to do is you're going to hit new check. Once you've hit new check, you're going to choose what brand it is. This is a pair of Yeezys, so we're going to hit that. You're then going to choose the model of the shoe. In this case, it is a Yeezy Boost 700. And then you get to the image section. So the CheckCheck app asks for 6 different images, to which you're going to make sure you take the correct images and post them up. So the first one is the appearance. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it down and I'm going to take a picture. The inside label, we're going to take one of the back of the insole. So I'm going to lay that flat and just take a picture of that. The next one is the insole stitching. Let's get a picture of that. Now we've got to get one of the box label. So I'm going to get a picture and then the date code on the box. I'm going to hit the 30-minute check and we're going to see how long this takes. So I'm going to do it with you guys, hitting next, and we're going to confirm. And let's see. Now you also may be wondering how the CheckCheck app actually legit checks your pair of shoes. So they got 3 different layers. The first one is, of course, they have an AI program that runs it up against plenty of different fake and real sneakers. And then it gets checked over by not only 1, but 2 authenticators. And they make sure that they have double checked your pair of shoes so that you can be the most confident you can be that your pair of shoes is either legit or not. Speaking of, I just got my results. So here it is over there. You can see it gets a pass. And if you head over to the explore page, a really cool thing that the CheckCheck app has, and see what people have kind of checked up to be legit checked. And you can see mine is at the top there. You can kind of look through and you can see the ones that haven't passed, and you can compare that to different pairs of shoes that you have so that you know what to look out for in the future. Thank you, me from yesterday. I'll take it from here. Thank you to the CheckCheck app for sponsoring today's video. But now let's get into this one. So first off, let's talk about where you're gonna go. Let's talk about these different marketplaces that exist when you're going to buy a pair of sneakers on the secondary market. And why don't we just start at the most popular one, the easiest one that people seem to keep navigating towards, and of course that is Stockx. Now Stockx on the whole as a marketplace is pretty decent. Because it is one of the most popular sneaker marketplaces, you get a lot of different variety when you're looking to buy pairs of shoes. There's stuff you can find on there that you would find very hard to find anywhere else. It's a pretty simple model of a buyer putting up a bid and a seller putting up an ask price, and once those two match, the pair of shoes actually sells. Now I've got some tips and tricks on Stockx to make sure that you're getting the very best price if you choose to use Stockx. Some of the pros, well, it's a very easy to use platform. It's very easy to navigate, and you do have a lot of different variety when it comes to sneakers. You're also guaranteed brand new pairs of sneakers, and this is obviously a big deal for anybody who is trying to get a never worn pair of shoes. Well, Stockx only does brand new pairs of sneakers. They also authenticate the pair of shoes before it gets shipped out to you, so that's always a nice thing to have that reassurance that that pair of shoes is for the most part going to be 100% authentic. Some of the drawbacks of Stockx is that the fees can be pretty high. Not only do you have to pay fees when you're selling a pair of shoes, but you also have to pay those fees when you are buying a pair of shoes. Of course, because the fee is based on a percentage, the more expensive pair of shoes that you're buying, the more fees you are going to be paying. And that of course can really add up and oftentimes makes it more expensive than some of the competition. Now, if you are going with Stockx, well, here's some tips to make sure that you get the best price. The first tip is to never just buy now. Because like I said, Stockx is a marketplace where sellers have an asking price and buyers have a bid price. Well, in my experience, the way to get the best price is to not just buy the pair of shoes and accept that highest asking price. Oftentimes, and especially if you're not in a rush to get a pair of shoes, you can add a bid that is slightly under that asking price and it will get accepted. Another really good tip is to avoid buying the sneaker right after the release. I think this is a really common thing where people, take an L on a release and they have that FOMO and the hype just built up and they really want to get that pair of shoes. So they go over to Stockx and they just buy the pair of shoes. But for the most part, that is when the prices are at their highest. What usually tends to happen is as soon as the release is over, the prices stay pretty damn high, and it's only until people start getting their pairs physically in their hands and they start undercutting each other when they start selling on Stockx. This doesn't work for all pairs of shoes. Sometimes when a pair of shoes is unexpectedly limited, the price will actually go up after the release, but of course that's something you can monitor if you did miss out on the pair of shoes and you are looking to Stockx to buy. So there's some pros and cons of Stockx. It's still a decent place to go. It's still a consideration, but another one is GOAT. GOAT is a marketplace that is relatively similar to Stockx. It kind of works on a buy now or an offer basis. Now there are some things you do need to think about when you're purchasing through GOAT. GOAT is a US company and I don't think they have expanded as far as Stockx just yet. So when you're buying a pair of shoes, particularly from a different country than the US, you're more likely to get charged heavy import fees. Not only that, but the shipping costs are also super high. For example, I bought a pair of Yeezy 500s from GOAT and I ended up having to pay £60 on top of the price that I had to pay to go. So once you end up paying the £30 shipping cost from GOAT to the UK, and then you pay all of the import fees when it actually arrives in the country, it makes it one of the most expensive marketplaces for people here in the UK. If you are out in the US, oftentimes the GOAT is a pretty decent marketplace. It has a really awesome shipping mechanism where they do an instant ship option. You pay a little bit extra and they ship the pair of shoes out rapid. Sometimes you can end up getting the pair of shoes the very next day or 2 days down the line, which is really good and something that Stockx does not have. They of course also have the authentication process where they are checking over the pair of shoes before they send it out to you. So both of those two are decent options. However, if you want to put in a little bit more work, this is where you can really start saving money. And I think the first place is going to be eBay. eBay has a lot of good stuff about it, and recently they are really trying to put their foot in the door for this whole sneaker marketplace. Recently, eBay introduced an authentication process. If you're out in the US, you can get your pairs of shoes authenticated before they ship out to you. eBay is oftentimes the place where I get the best prices, the cheapest prices for pairs of sneakers across the board. Pro about this is that of course the seller has to actually upload images of the physical pair of shoes that they are selling, which means that you can have a good idea of what you're going to be getting when they ship it out to you. Another good pro about eBay is oftentimes it can be one of the quickest places to get a pair of shoes. If you communicate with the seller and say that you need this pair of shoes next day, oftentimes they're likely to comply and ship it out for you so you can get the pair of shoes literally the next day. Now obviously if you're in a region where eBay doesn't have the authentication process like here in the UK, well, eBay has the eBay buyer's protection. So no, they don't authenticate the pair of shoes for you, but when you do receive it, and let's say worst case scenario, you figure out that these are fake, you can always implement your rights using the eBay buyer's protection and get your money back. And of course, a really good way to figure out whether your pair of shoes is legit or not is to use the CheckCheck app. I always contact the seller and I'd be like, look, I will offer you X amount of money and I can pay right now. And sometimes what you'll find on eBay is that people are just trying to get rid of their pairs of shoes and they're likely to accept your offer. Now, some things to watch out for on eBay is when they start asking to take the transaction away from eBay. Sometimes this happens and it's relatively harmless and the seller is just trying to get away from the eBay fees. However, as a buyer, it makes it a little bit harder because it's a little bit more untrustworthy. So the seller will often say, DM me on Instagram for a better price. And once you contact them there, they may ask you to pay through bank transfer or PayPal. Because you don't have that eBay buyer's protection, if the transaction goes sour and something happens to your pair of shoes, or of course you receive a pair of fakes, eBay has nothing to do with it. They are not going to step in and they are not there to help you. So one way to get around this is if you do go this route and you're not on eBay is use PayPal goods and services. This is something where you you start implementing PayPal's buyer protection, and that oftentimes helps you when something goes wrong with the transaction. However, it is a major red flag if the seller starts asking you to do a bank transfer or to use PayPal friends and family. It's also good to have some rules for yourself. Maybe you decide, I'm never going to spend more than X amount on a pair of sneakers. Hell, maybe you decide that you're never going to pay resale for a pair of sneakers and you only will accept a pair of shoes at retail. All of these are really good, responsible ways to go about buying pairs of shoes on the secondary market. But that pretty much wraps it up. I want to say a huge thank you to the CheckCheck app for sponsoring today's video. I will have all of the information down in the description below for you guys to go and check them out, download the app. It's a really solid way to kind of be a little bit more safer on the secondary market as well. So a huge thank you to them, a huge thank you to you guys for coming through, hanging out for yet again another video. I want to thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, and of course subscribing. I'll catch you all in the next one, but until then.